Church, I hope you are doing well, and I'm praying that you are and well, and especially now that we have this stay-at-home order that the governor just put forth. So 21 days, I believe, is what I read on the internet, that we're going to need to continue to keep some distance physically from one another. But I hope you know that just because we have to keep some physical distance from one another, there are still, tons of ways that we can connect. Obviously, this is one way we connect, and through social media and YouTube and Facebook and by email. Obviously, phones are a great way to connect, either by calling someone or texting them. And one other thing that I've been thinking a lot about is actual mail, physical mail. I don't know when was the last time I sent or wrote out and actually sent a letter through the mail. And I honestly can't remember the last time that I received a physical paper letter in the mail. So maybe that's something that we can bring back during this time of physical kind of isolation or distancing. And I just want to let you know, if you need anything, or if you know of someone who needs anything, please let me know. Obviously, you have my email address. You should have my phone number as well. It's on the website. It's on the Facebook page. The website is prlivinghope.com. But let us know. Let me know if you have any needs, or, like I said, if you know of someone who has a need. And even if that need is, hey, I need so-and-so's phone number or email address, let me know that, and I can do my best. I will do my best to track that information down for you. But what I really want to talk to you all about isn't just about staying connected with each other, but I want to share a form of Bible study with you. It's a form it's been life-giving to me over the years, and you may have your own personal kind of style of Bible study, and that's great if you do. But if you don't, I just want to give you some kind of guidelines. And this isn't a new form of Bible study. It's actually something. Parts of this, or a form of this, has been around really since the 4th century AD that we know of. Maybe you've heard of Lectio Divina. It's an ancient form of Bible study that was broken down into 4 parts. So Lectio Divina is broken down into these 4 components. There's Lectio, there's Meditatio, there's Oratio, and then there is Contemplatio. So I'll do that in English for you instead. So Lectio, the first thing is to read. That's what Lectio means, to read. The second, Meditatio, or meditate, means to reflect. The third, Oratio, or oratory would come from there. That is to respond. And then finally, Contemplatio, to contemplate, or to simply rest. So those are the 4: read, reflect, respond, and rest. But what I'm going to show you is really, it's based on those 4 things, but it has an easy to remember acronym. And that acronym is SOAP. Some of you, especially if you went to the men's retreat, you're already familiar with this concept. So SOAP, it's an acronym. Those 4 letters stand for these 4 things. The S stands for Scripture. The O stands for observation. The A is application. And finally, the P is prayer. So I'm just going to give you a rough guideline in this video as far as what it means to soak. So the first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to choose some Scripture. It doesn't have to be a long portion of Scripture. It doesn't have to be an entire chapter. In fact, probably if this is a new experience for you, you're going to want to keep it to a handful of verses, maybe 5 to 10 verses at the most. And then you can kind of go from there. So that's your first step. You want to choose a Scripture. Secondly, as you read that Scripture that you've chosen, you're gonna ask this question. What jumps out to me, to you, as you read through that scripture. Usually there's going to be a word or a phrase in the midst of the scripture that you're reading that really speaks to you, or really jumps out at you. And so you're going to want to write that observation down. I observe these words or these phrases are jumping out at me, so I'm going to write them down. So that's observation. The third part then is application. So you take your observations that you've made, the things that you've written down, and you ask, how can these observations, how can these things that I've written down that seem to jump off the page to me, how can they speak into my life? How can they apply to me? What is God saying to me in the midst of this as I observe these things from His Word? So that's application. And then the fourth thing, as you soap, the P there, that stands for prayer. And essentially what I will tend to do is I will write my applications out as a prayer back to God. Some people think that's cheating. I don't. But that's really what I do. So I take the scripture, I observe things, I apply them to me specifically, and then I pray that back to God. How would you have me, God, respond in all of this? So that's SOAP. Scripture, observation, application, and prayer. In the next video, the next step, I'm going to take you through my own personal process of soaping through Matthew 4, verses 1 through 4. That'll be a familiar passage of Scripture to a lot of you. We covered it about a month ago, and I'm actually going to be covering it a little bit more in depth again this coming Sunday. So you got a couple videos coming to you yet. So again, my prayer is that you're well, and like I said, if you need anything, please let me know.